Breaking news out of batshit bonkers Britain, where millions of ordinary people have been protesting in the streets under the hashtag enough is enough. This is ordinary mums and dads who cannot see a future for their children in the UK. One thing you definitely don't want as a politician is to reach the point where people feel like they have nothing to lose. And when you see your kids being stabbed at a dance event, that's exactly what happens. Of course, the politicians aren't looking to blame themselves, but rather just throw out labels like far right or terrorist. If this had been a Black Lives Matter protest, it would have been seen as a largely peaceful event. In other news, the Olympic Committee has put sanctions on people if they say that the XY chromosome boxer is a man, the guy that likes to punch women in the face. So you have to go around at the Olympics and say, oh, yes, Emperor, I do like those new clothes on you. I can't see your cock at all. And finally, a French pole vaulter who clearly doesn't need any additional equipment in order to do his pole vault has knocked off the bar with his mighty man schlong. Now, I think it's very upsetting for him that he hasn't been able to get a medal. So I would say to the French competitor, if you need some help or counselling, I'm very good at that sort of thing. My number is 03475 832221. Do feel free to give me a call. That's it. That's it, Bonkers Britain.
Oh, and she's referring to that clip that got Dave in trouble the other night. Yeah. And I talked with Dave about that just a few minutes ago. I was talking with him. He's getting he's preparing for a trip to Ohio. He may pop on here as he's on the road. Lots of things going on, and we're going to try and cover as much of this stuff today as we can. Let's see. Yeah, I want to make sure I get to the beginning of okay, and there's a Lloyd Brunson thing. That was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys today. And I believe, Tom Holman is where we left off yesterday. So, all right, we are at the beginning of my feed from yesterday's endpoint to the start point of today. Those of you that missed the Slow Country podcast that I was just on with him about a half an hour ago, Slow Country finally got a little bit of time to do a short podcast covering some things in regards to Ingersoll Lockwood. We found some interesting connections with that, and we'll see what direction this all goes as far as that is concerned. All right. Janine, mega meme queen, she calls herself. None of us have. Donald Trump says, I've never gotten over the fact that Obama was able to send $1.7 billion in cash to Iran, and nobody in Congress, the FBI, or Justice called for an investigation. Yeah, it's good. Very good point. Yeah. So Ted Theodore Logan says, hey, at Community Modes, did he really say these things? I feel the anxiety growing already. Here we go.
I walk with my husband, Michael, and hold hands. It's like a whole new world for me. Just walking and holding hands. Something that one of our fellow Americans for years could not do.
What kind of shit is that?
And distinguished guests and men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. All of you have performed extraordinary service to our country.
Hell no!
So,
I walk with my husband, Michael, and hold hands.
Enough said. She's a dude, man. she's a dude. Don't need to explain it any further than that. If you can't get it from that, then the level of stupidity goes beyond anything that we could possibly help you with. Absolutely. All right. Sarah Field says, I'm going to post a video of Kamala Harris and her moronic takes every day until the election. Here we go.
We invested an additional $12 billion into community banks because we know community banks are in the community and understand the needs and desires of that community as well as the talent and capacity of community. We invested.
Yeah. Where's the $12 billion? Because our community banks didn't see it. Yeah, I think not. All right. Black woman responding to a comment under her post. We lost another one to the cult. Vote Kamala. Here we go.
Now, I told y'all when y'all come for me, I come back, and since people like to think they slick, I need to come on by here and show them I do oil changes. Now, we're going to address this. We lost another one to the cult. First of all, who is another one? Because I don't even know you. When were we together? Skin folks don't make us kin folks. And sometimes dirt is thicker than blood, if you know what I'm saying. So how could you lose somebody you don't know? How many of my bills have you paid? How many children do I got? Do you even know that? No, you don't. So we ain't lost nothing. And then you're going to say, we lost another one to the cult. The only hateful, evil, vile, occultic type of people is yourself. Because you're trying to make people who look like you vote for somebody who, under false pretense, supposed to be like you. Is you out of your mind? We cannot be this ignorant in this day and age. I'm not voting for anybody else based on their color. And let me explain to you what I mean. The only time that I have ever voted was in 2008, ignorantly, blindly, based on color. I did not know anything about Barack Obama until the night he was elected. And God opened up my eyes and showed me he was everything anti-God. He was a whole demon. And his policies proved to be so. So I vowed that I would never, ever vote in any political party ever again. I can legislate in the spirit realm. You understand me? Because that's where real work takes place. However, y'all pushing me over there to the cult. Patriots, can I be a part of y'all cult? That's what they call y'all, a cult. The same people walking around here calling this man a racist, but in the same token say his color of his skin is orange and call him racist when they really racist. Most vile and evilest people that would attack their own kind because they won't go the way that they want them to go. No, I'm not no sucker. Lollipops get licked, and I'm not one. These people policies put my son in the dirt, for your information, and hundreds of thousands of other parents are bleeding life sentences of pain behind their policies. So you go right on ahead and vote Kamala. I'm going to be right behind you with a force, voting her arse right on up out of there. She not even going to make it, period. She not even going to make it. And we can come back and have that conversation when she does not. But for right now, you patriots, can I come and be a part of y'all code? Because I'm leaning, okay? I don't care if it's Ronald Reagan, John F. Kennedy, Donald Trump, anybody except that party. Can I come and join y'all code? Let me know in the comment section below and let him know too.
Well, young lady, the only thing I can say to you is welcome. Welcome to the party that's not yeah, I don't even know where to go with that. I really don't. We've been called a cult for so long that it goes off my shoulder like water off a duck. Yeah. All right. This is where, one of those things where I tell people, pay close attention to these podcasters who are telling you that the Brunson case was done. All right. Santa Trump says, for those like myself who said the Brunson case was done, pay attention.
What's the news?
Just a
Okay, well, there's been a lot of
speculation about the Brunson case. People probably don't realize this. There are 3 Brunson Supreme Court cases, 3. Okay, and it's confusing. The legalese is confusing because the Supreme Court actually identifies a conference as a hearing. Now, my Rule 11, I call it the emergency petition that was shelved. The Supreme Court can take a case off the shelf. Now, I just want to clear something up. I have no evidence or information that would lead me to believe that there has been a hearing on any of the cases. Not a conference. Conference has been happening, but a hearing on any of that. And so I know there's a lot of speculation out there suggesting that there's been a hearing and it's been decided. I don't have any evidence of that. It's possible. It's possible. And I haven't heard anything from a real reliable source, maybe one pretty reliable, but it's hard. I don't really take it to heart unless I see more evidence than what I've seen. Now, I'm the petitioner in the Rule 11 one, and I have not been notified. I've not signed a non-disclosure agreement, nothing like that. So, but what I am excited about is the letter campaign that has happened supporting my Rule 11, because it's not over. And so what has happened is some volunteers have gotten together. We decided to make something available that has never been available since the 1800s. Now, when Amy Coney Barrett was asked in a Senate hearing having to do with her nomination to the Supreme Court, when she was asked what the 5 protections were in the First Amendment, even as a judge, she couldn't remember the 5th one, and that is petition, the protected right to petition the government for redress of grievances. So what this opportunity is being prepared to do is allow people, and it was supposed to be done days ago, but at lloydbrunson.com, which President Trump endorsed on August 19th of last year, which was exciting, this allows people to go there and actually sign 3 documents. 2 of them would be their own personal petitions for redress of grievances to the Congress. Now, what that is about, that's about the Federal Reserve. The petition will be exposing it in a way that has never been exposed before. There's a House bill right now presented by Senator Lee from Utah, and some others are helping that along, and that is to abolish the Federal Reserve. And
So again, these people who are claiming that the Brunson case was settled and all that, bullshit. They're freaking lying to you. Okay? It is on the docket, and it is slated for this period of time in which the Supreme Court, instead of going on summer vacation, is in fact staying in session and covering a lot of the things that they're playing catch up right now, is basically what they're doing. All right. So when you hear a podcaster tell you that the Brunson case was finalized, tell them that they're full of shit. Okay? Because if the petitioner has not received notice of any type from the Supreme Court, then nothing has happened yet. Okay? When the petitioner receives his the progress report from the Supreme Court, then at that point then there can be information released about it. Okay? But these people claiming that it's done and it's over with and everything else, that this is just part of the movie, are full of shit. Okay? They're full of shit. It's that simple. All right. Ian Miles Chong says, England is finished. The lower class whites are looting the stores. Yeah, never thought I'd see this. You notice nobody's covering their face or anything like that's a good way to get yourself arrested. Yep. All right. And once Trump's gone and we have regained our rightful place in the White House, look out if you supported him and endorsed his actions, because we're coming for you next. You will feel the vengeance of a nation. No stone will be left unturned as we seek you out in this great nation, for it is you that betrayed us. That's from Kamala Harris. Okay. June 18th of 2020. Yeah, she really said that. And they're saying this quote is from a satire 2020. You're full of shit. Community notes. You're full of crap. She did say it. We heard it. So go fuck yourself. Community notes. Elon, you should be very selective about who you have doing community notes. You're a good dude who's allowing free speech on the platform. We'd appreciate it if you actually kept up with that and got rid of these community notes that appear to be just there to create. It's like having a bot, dropping comments and stuff like that, is basically what's going on. Yeah. So Brian Kemp was considering investigating voter fraud until his daughter's boyfriend perished in a car crash on December 4th of 2020. You guys all remember that. If the CIA wants to warn you, they will, and they'll own you forever. Yep. Poor kid. All right. Here's a breaking alert that actually, why is this saying August 4th? Oh, yeah, because it was yesterday. I keep forgetting we're in August already. Yeah. I can't keep up with the dates. I can't even keep up with the days half the time. Breaking alert, heavy rains flooded the metro in Madrid, the capital of Spain. The underground system is now pulled up with water. Exactly what mainstream media didn't want to tell you. And what's going on there? And so that's the rail system there in Madrid. Yeah, crazy. Here we go. This guy is making common sense great again.
Did anybody notice how much more of a success Donald Trump's rally in Atlanta was than Kamala's? Oh, and make sure you stay to the very end so I can give you a real sense of realization, okay? But let's get to the other factor before we get to Michaela Montgomery, because she just so happened to expose a lot about Kamala Harris. People actually stayed for the entirety of the rally. And the most wild part to me is the fact that Donald Trump did not change his accent. First of all, Michaela Montgomery, she's the founder of the Conservative Culture Organization. And as you can see, yesterday, she addressed the crowd at Donald Trump's rally in Atlanta. During her speech, she heavily criticized Kamala Harris for, in quotations, not doing anything for the black community. But then she just so happened to mention Mr. Willie Brown. And you know what's really interesting about Willie Brown, right? Well, for those unfamiliar, like this article says, Willie Brown is a 90-year-old Democratic politician and former San Francisco mayor. And he reportedly dated Kamala Harris between 1994 and 1995. And allegedly, Brown was legally married to Blanche Brown at the time, but has been estranged from her since 1981. Brown was 60 years old, and Harris was 29 when they were reportedly dating. But somehow people are worried about Donald Trump allegedly cheating? Look, I'm just saying, if you're going to hold one side accountable, you need to hold the other side accountable as well. But 60 years old while she was 29? Oh, man. I wonder how she got her start as a prosecutor. Anyways, Michaela Montgomery said something that was very important that I think everybody really needs to hear. She said that, in quotations, it was a learning experience for my students because they were able to see and experience firsthand how the media can wrap the perception of an opinion or a person. Kind of like how people started leaving Kamala Harris's rally after Megan Thee Stallion just so happened to hop off stage, which, by the way, is how she chose to represent the ATL. Do you know how disrespectful and disgraceful that was? But this part, though, everybody really needs to see this part so they can gain some clarity. And no, this isn't a Fox News article. Trump said Montgomery, who attended Clark Atlanta University, had recognized him in public and commended him for funding historically black colleges and university, which is actually true, and you can go find that out for yourself. But he said, in quotation, she looks at me, says it's President Trump. You saved my college. And he said, how the hell do you know that? This one is so smart, so sharp. It's funny because a lot of people do not know what he has done for the black community already, because let's keep in mind, he was already president once. And people are so worried about him taking away women's rights. But did he take away women's rights when he was president? Has Kamala Harris, as the border czar for the past 4 years, put women in danger? I don't know. You tell me. How many undocumented migrants have already hopped over the border? Common sense, people. That's what this is, okay? But then again, common sense would also be realizing that the same exact individuals that just so happened to propose a TikTok ban now ironically have TikToks for themselves and their campaigns. But nobody wants to talk about that one, right?
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about that one. We've talked about it. We talked about it as soon as they announced the ban. And we showed Joe Biden's TikTok. And yeah. All right. Joe Rambo says this feels oddly familiar, right? Timing is everything. The stabbing of 3 young white girls by a 17-year-old black boy is being used to race bait, divide, and cause chaos in the streets. Organized extremist groups have waged war on the streets of family neighborhoods.
What the fuck is that? Honestly, man, we're far away. Racist scum, no welcome here! Racist scum, no welcome here! Keep the fascists off our street, no justice, no peace! Racist scum, no welcome here! Stop and search! Officers have now identified themselves over the station with us. Yellow flyer. What are you searching for?
Yeah.
You're not getting a better view than this.
It was just disgusting because it has nothing to do with what's gone on. This was an organised gang that came down. I woke up at 6 and then I came down here and I thought I'm going to walk around, and literally it was like a war zone. There was bricks, rubble all over. And then I just knocked on one of the neighbours' houses and just said, "Can I have a brush please, just so I can do my bit?" And then I was brushing up, and then the entire community has come together.
Before I talk about the scenes overnight, let's just reflect on why we are actually here. And that's the dreadful events of Monday. And there's 3 little girls, Alice, BB and Elsie, who've tragically lost their lives. And then other girls who are absolutely traumatised and injured by what they saw on Monday. That is why we are here, and also that wider community here in Southport who are traumatised by what they witnessed, by what they heard, and by what they saw. And that's what we need to remember. In relation to the events that happened, overnight, I am absolutely appalled and disgusted at the level of violence that was shown towards my officers. This is the same officers who've been supporting this community for the last 48 hours. Some of the first responders who attended that awful scene on Monday and then were faced with that level of violence. This is not Southport. This is not the communities of Merseyside. This is a close-knit, family-type community who were there at the vigil to share fellowship, show their respect, grieve, speak to each other about those terrible events, and just show the families of those little girls how much this has impacted on them. And yet that turned to a night of violence, and I'm just disgusted and appalled.
Where was you in Leeds? Where was you in Leeds? Get back! Stay back! Get back now! Get back! Get back now! Get back now! Stay back! Get back! Get back! Get back now! Stay back! Get back! Stay back! Absolutely nothing.
Yep. So UK is in turmoil. Yep. All right. Here's a based one for you.
So I just listened to Kamala Harris give a speech at the Delaware headquarters, and she stated that Donald Trump is trying to take back America. And she also stated that that means that he's going to take us back to a time to where people that look like me didn't have rights. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, isn't this the same line that you fed us in 2015 and 2016 when he was running for president? That if Donald Trump takes political office and is the president, that black people are no longer going to have rights and that we're going to become slaves again? What happened? 4 years of a Trump presidency, guess what? Not one black person, not one Negro was made into a slave. If anything, I got more free. My finances got better. My life got better. My profession got better. Everything got better. But now we're seeing a constant downward slide under the Biden administration. And my thing is, how many times are we going to go through the same narrative that Trump is racist, Trump is a white supremacist, and that he's bad for black people, and that he's going to take us back into slavery and take our rights away? You have to be an absolute idiot to believe that in 2024 in America at this point in time, man. My thing is, if you don't like Trump because you think he's an idiot, I'm okay with that. If you think he's a man-child, I can accept that. If you think he's just a bloviating rich dude and you think he's just an arrogant, ignoramus jerk-off, I can accept that. But I can't accept the fact that you really believe this man's going to take us back into slavery. You are an absolute idiot, and I ain't got nothing for you if you really believe that.
Yep. All right. Here is Valentina Gomez.
I have stood up to pedophiles, groomers, and corrupt politicians, but this hasn't come without a price. They have tried to kill my father, poison my dogs, and destroy me. But I'm still standing because I have God and the American people by my side. I don't ask for money. I'd rather you go buy food and bullets for your family. I simply ask you to come out and vote for me on August 6th. So fuck these gay pedophiles in our government. Let's save America.
Yep. I stopped it there because of, the background content, don't want to get in no trouble. These liberal kids never take time to actually read the data. And I thought that this one was pretty interesting. Older millennial. Here we go.
New study just came out that the U.S. economy performs far better under Democrats in almost every metric as opposed to Republicans.
You know, Chris, if you had actually bothered to read beyond the headline and actually look at the data in that study, you would see it actually says the exact opposite of that. Because yes, that study does show that the economy does tend to fare better under Democrat presidents, but it also shows something else very important. Because the president doesn't control the budget. Congress does. And most of our elections tend to result in what's known as a divided government, where when the president is a Democrat, most of the time the Congress is then Republican and vice versa. Like, Chris, let me show you this. These are the years of the 11 recessions we've had since the Great Depression. You want to know something all of these years have in common? Well, first, in every one of those years, the Democrats had a majority control of the Senate. Oh yeah, in every one of those years, they had a majority control of the House. In every single recession since the Great Depression, the Democrats have been in complete control of the budget. I'm sure this is just a coincidence. But yeah, Chris, you are right. We generally have a very good economy when there's a Democrat in the Oval Office. But that's because most of the time, Republicans are controlling Congress. Because we know that any time you let Democrats have control of the Senate and the House, you get a recession. Yeah, buddy, try reading the study next time.
Yep. Reading the study before reporting on it is absolutely 100% important. And these kids don't do that. They just go with the basically like the 4 a.m. talking points. Yep. What they don't want you to see at the Atlanta rally. Here we go.
The Trump was booming when Trump was president because stupid niggas was getting money too and the stimulus shit came out. You know what I'm saying? Oh.
So you said life was different when Trump was
life was good when Trump was president, and not only that, it get deeper, bro. Trump was trying to start the sex trafficking. That's why they don't want him to be president. I help kids involved in sex trafficking. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to start the sex trafficking. People don't look. Y'all gotta think deep, bro. Y'all gotta stop being stupid, bro.
Plan International, you know, we help advocate for kids that's been sex trafficked, you know what I'm saying? Also organ harvesting and early childhood marriages, man. Y'all check us out, planusa.org, all right? We got the hat, we got the shirts, you know what I'm saying? This is not a part of the plan, but, you know, check us out already.
So this is the truth about what really happened at the Trump rally in Atlanta yesterday. That same rally that they told you that couldn't get filled up, that there was barely anyone in attendance when there were 30 to 40,000 people literally standing in line. This is what America has to say, and this is why they're trying to censor the things that we're saying. So you guys stay on the lookout. When you see this video, make sure you save it just in case it gets censored later.
Mm-hmm. They be doing a lot of that censoring. A lot of it. All right. Sorry, distracted by puppy. Hi, Ahab. You are such a good boy. You are such a good boy. Yes, you are. Oh, you're so good. That was my muffin you just grabbed. That was not cool. That's not even funny or anything. Okay? You can act like it's funny. You go ahead. Why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? You just ate half of my muffin and you're smiling. That's wrong. You're just wrong. Here, you might as well eat the rest of it too. Jeez. There you go. Dogs. I'm telling you. Hey. You okay, buddy? You okay? You okay? Yeah. Yeah, that big dog wanted that muffin. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Y'all, sound up. Here we go.
Well, I think I can retire after today because this is the best video I've ever seen.
Introducing the all-new Kia Kamala, the first car to go from zero to nominee in 0 votes.
I really love Venn diagrams. You know, the circles, right?
3 usually. The Kamala is affordable because it's made with cheap foreign labor that came here illegally.
And say we're not paying them nearly enough.
And while it looks small on the outside, the interior is as roomy as a big yellow school bus.
Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right?
And best of all, the state-of-the-art GPS will take you everywhere except the southern border.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The Kia Kamala. Critics agree it's not a smart car.
Yeah, not a smart woman either, but yeah, we'll leave that there. All right, here's Mayrock's U.S. debt clock decode. Here we go. Where'd it go?
Hey guys, we got a new U.S. debt clock message. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 2024. They posted it at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The message says, a new earth, worlds apart. It says the new USA dollar. And down here it says principalities, the Fed dollar falling. We also have the all-seeing eye down here over what looks like the old world. And I'm not quite sure what the background is over here. But moving forward, on the corner here, we have Archangel Michael slaying Satan, okay? And we've got this line drawing down here to the new earth, which is just bright and illuminated. And you can see America is gold, like pure gold. And right here, we've got this ship, and it looks like it's coming down from right here, going towards the new earth, right? And it looks to be Columbus's ship on its way to the new earth. Now, I want to talk more about the principalities falling down here. When they're talking about principalities, they're talking about how the Federal Reserve has its tentacles in every single sector of the government, every banking industry, everything, okay? This was posted just yesterday. The Federal Reserve posted its biggest loss in history last year of $114 billion. Here's the graph, you guys. All the way down in the red to the point right here, it says Ripple XRP, which is the digital asset that's backed by gold. Ripple and the Federal Reserve have reached a deal to use XRP. They're being forced to jump into using the digital gold-backed dollar, which we just learned this past week that the tokenized U.S. Treasury bill confirmed on the XRP ledger. It says Open Eden has announced that it will bring tokenized U.S. Treasury bills called T-bills, a short-term U.S. government debt obligation backed by the U.S. Department of the Treasury. They just announced this past week. And then funny that the whole stock market ended up collapsing the same time that they announced this. So here's just the graphs, just from, I think it was this past Thursday and Friday, the stock market started plummeting, okay? Everyone's concerned. Even Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway has dumped more shares this quarter than any other quarter in the entire history. Something's up, something's coming, you guys. And not only that, 2- and 10-year Treasury yields are in synchronized diving competition. They dropped so much right now. Here's just an idea breaking. The 10-year note yield just posted its largest weekly drop since the 2008 financial crisis, falling 40 basis points last week. Furthermore, the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage fell 22 basis points on Friday alone. At the same time, TLT, a popular bond tracking ETF, rose by 6%, the most since January 2003. TLT is now up 2% year to date after being down more than 10% just 4 months ago. For the first time since 2020, bond markets are trading like we are into a recession. What happened to a soft landing? All the while, Ripple XRP are making all of these developments, partnering with these big government corporations, including the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury, It's happening, and it's happening fast, you guys. Things are starting to roll out like we've been told they're going to roll out. And the market is collapsing just like we've been telling you. The market has to collapse. Everything has to collapse in order for the phoenix, so to speak, to rise from the ashes, which will be the commodity-based or the commodity-backed digital assets. For example, XRP. Okay, and even the banking industry is accepting XRP payments. They're integrating the XRP and all of these digital assets into their payment structure. And also, we can't forget about Iran attacking Israel right at the same time, you guys. This could be the false flag event that is going to cause the stock market to just collapse as soon as it gets bad. And the fact that Berkshire Hathaway has dumped more shares this quarter than any other quarter in its entire history, something's up, something's coming, and they smell it, they know it. Companies' stocks are tanking. Over $2.9 trillion has been wiped out from the market. I think within like a 2-day period. This is the worst day for stocks since March 16th, 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic fears. We are already in a recession, heading to a depression very, very quickly, especially with the job market tank. The unemployment rates tanked after they reported the second quarter earnings. But we told you guys this was going to happen, and to brace yourselves, this is not fear porn, because we know what happens afterwards. Now, with that being said, I wanted to go back into the more biblical interpretation of this message because you guys, I have gotten a lot of flack on this post that I posted. You guys, I am just piecing things together. Okay, this is my interpretation. I don't expect everybody to believe the same way I believe. I'm just noting biblical events the way I interpret them. You don't have to be on the same page or believe the same way I believe. Anyway, so the rapture ascension happens before the appearance of the Antichrist, okay? And my interpretation of the rapture or the ascension is, I know, is already different than your interpretation of it. I don't believe that everyone's going to go up into the clouds or just disappear. I have a very open mind. I know, like, especially when you apply things to this day and age, is completely different than the way it was written in a Bible 2,000 years ago. So a lot of this is going to be my what if it means this. So what if Archangel Michael defeating Satan is the military defeating the Federal Reserve? Okay, they cut off the head of the octopus. And what if the rapture or ascension, everyone has a different interpretation of what rapture is or ascension is. I don't believe God is coming out of the clouds. What if the interpretation is the mark of God, the X here, comes out of the cloud, like the internet, because we know X represents God, or X represents God in the clouds, the internet. And how weird is it that we're starting to see X everywhere, especially when it's referencing these digital assets, right? God's creations, God's commodities. XLM is silver, XRP is gold, so they all start with X. You're seeing X everywhere. So what if the ascension or rapture or whatever you want to call it or interpret it, when you see X, the sign of God coming out of the clouds, back then, they didn't know what internet was. So the only way to interpret it back then would have been coming out of the clouds, the internet, the cloud. That happens first, right? And people are ascended, meaning they're in God's kingdom. They're taken up to God's kingdom, into prosperity, right? XRP, XLM, people who have bought into silver or gold, physical or digitally. Once XRP reaches the real values, all of the other values will follow, right? That happens first. I also believe it's a state of awareness as well. So me listing all of this stuff out, I was just putting in bullet points really for my own reference, so I can come back to it and reference it. But you guys, I'm not expecting you to be on the same page as me. This is more for my own, I guess, reference. But according to biblical prophecy, all of this stuff happens later, which we're already seeing the tensions increase with this Gog and Magog war, which is Iran and Israel. And however all the rest of this looks, applying it to this day and age, we don't know, but I'm going to come back and reference that later. But when you question where is America in all of this, right? Because all the rest of this happens in the Middle East. America is ascended or raptured, or we're taken up into prosperity first. All the other nations that are with America will follow, but America is the new Israel, which means chosen land, God's chosen land, or prevailing with God. Which is America, God's chosen land?
Yep. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I believe when they talked about the land of milk and honey, that they were actually talking about the Americas. The Americas name was changed from whatever it was to the Americas when a guy by the name of America had the continent or continents renamed. All right. UK police officer exposed communicating to Muslim invaders that they are here to protect them and not their own citizens. Here we go.
They'll jump straight out and we'll just standing here, yeah? Yeah. So when it's nice and calm, we got to stay right here.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much.
And when if things escalate, come out.
We understand. Yeah, that's fine.
I just need you to understand we're not against you guys. We're
No,
here, we're here to help and protect you.
We all understand. Yeah, appreciate that what you're doing. Thank you.
We're here to help and protect you as you're walking through our streets with swords and axes and knives, killing our citizens. Yeah. I can tell by her eyes she is angry that somebody told on her. Kamala used campaign funds like her personal bank account, said her staffers.
The reports by the National Journal and Orange County Register, which documented what they called her lavish spending from her campaign fund accounts on luxurious hotels, luxury car services, and first-class airfare. The Hill, an online government news site, quoted former aides as saying she treats the campaign fund like a personal checking account to fund a life of luxury. Should it raise questions in the public mind about, if you're a senator, how you would look at money spending, which is always an issue in Washington?
There were issues that we needed to address early in my campaign around correcting course, which we did, and I'm very proud of the work we did in that regard.
So this was your campaign manager, I believe, who was replaced, right?
There was a lot of restructuring that we did, and it needed to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So problem solved?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reports by the National Journal and Orange County
she got rid of the campaign manager because the staffers all ratted her out for using the system, and well, we'll blame it on the manager, and here's your severance pay. Sorry, got to go. I got to save my own ass. Yeah. All right. Breaking: Kamala Harris has been busted for paying influencers and celebrities $20,000 to attend the DNC convention in Chicago. Here we go. I hate it when they do. I hate it when they do the music. So let me pause this. Any A-list influencers, celebrities who'd like to attend the DNC will get flights and hotels, plus credentials to the convention, plus exclusive invites to private parties and events happening during the week in Chicago. Also, I'm seeking top celebrities to do a post, and the budget per creator is around $20,000. But we'd be happy to talk through if there's anyone with a bigger influence and messaging aligned. What? The DNC, where? Chicago, dates, August 18th through 24th. The dollars is being paid for the required social media post, one, and attending the events in Chicago between 8:18 and 8:24. Selected guests can stay one night or all nights. Nothing else is required. I'd love to extend this opportunity to you and to any other clients you think the DNC should consider. To be considered, please respond here with names, and then let's discuss ASAP. Yeah.
To be a part of it's the newest way. I'm so honored to be a part of the creators that the DNC, that they have established something new, a different lane for people to get information and content out there. And I'm glad that they're giving us our space to show content. It's the newest way that we get information. Traditional media will always be there. It's always been there. But what we do know now is that creators have a lane. Your voice matters too. Even if it's on your phone, through your tablet, iPad, whatever you want to call it, with your camera on your shoulder, whatever you have a voice. And that is what I'm so glad that the DNC, they realize that. DNC 2024 Chicago is where you need to be, not where you want to be, where you need to be.
Yeah, man, I'm not giving them any more playtime than that. So, all right, the Republican Party is a party of corrupt and traitorous bastards. We are ruled by a tyrannical uniparty.
We've given our state over to the criminal enterprise.
Yes, you have.
Given it to them.
Yes.
We have a governor that the only way we can get him to do anything that's positive from my standpoint is to embarrass him.
Has the governor of Texas done anything meaningful to stop that? No. The Republican governor? He's got a National Guard. He's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard, and it's Texas, so they're all large. And they have double-stack magazines in their sidearms. You think they couldn't stop that in a week if they? Of course. Just assemble along the border. We're not doing this. No, he refuses to do that. He won't do it. And it's not like no one suggested. I've suggested to him 3 times, including in private at a cocktail party in Dallas last year.
I'll give you an example. 40 square miles, Liberty County, Texas, north of Houston. The Colonia.
Yep.
That was exposed with Michael Yon and Ann Vanderstilt. Great job. And I was just there as a support guy, but I was there watching and you know, in the chopper and doing stuff. But we exposed it. But when we exposed it, and we and our private investigatory body went in and actually followed the money, Trey Harris, he was a guy that developed the property.
Yeah.
I'm Dana Kennedy. I'm a reporter for The Post. And last week, The Post sent me to Texas to investigate what we heard was maybe the biggest no-go illegal immigrant or undocumented worker sanctuary city in the country. It's a place called Colony Ridge. And if you haven't heard of it, you're not alone because it's really flown under the radar for the last 10 years. But it's a sprawling series of subdivisions. So Colony Ridge was the brainchild of these 2 multimillionaire developer brothers who figured out 15 years ago they're going to buy up all these wetlands, cut it into lots, and turn it into like the American dream for poor Latinos. And they use very slick advertising and sort of hot models to advertise Colony Ridge. The idea is you don't have to put any money down and you can have your piece of the American dream. So this is Colony Ridge, and that sounds great. But I went there and the reality is a little bit different. And there's a lot of ramshackle shanties, people living in tents. A lot of people I tried to talk to like let their pit bulls out of their chain link fences when I tried to say hello. It's a pretty shady place. And as a result, it's become the epicenter right now of a big fight between the locals, the developers, and the entire Republican legislature. Governor Greg Abbott has called for a special legislative session October 9th, and the entire Republican delegation says it needs an investigation. I also spoke to several Latinas who bought property there. They're U.S. citizens, and there's certainly plenty of U.S. citizens that live at Colony Ridge, but they bought there with the American dream in their mind, and they told me that it became a total money pit. Now, the brothers sell Colony Ridge as a really cheap place to get your piece of the American dream. You put down $500, they say. You don't need to go through the bank. It's owner financing. But once people get there, they find all these fees sort of pile up. they're also expected to pay credit card interest rates on their mortgage. So a lot of people wind up walking away, foreclosing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the legislator takes a look at it. It's a little hard to put the genie back in the bottle when you have a development this size. It's 50% bigger currently than Manhattan, with up to 75,000 people there. And the people that are the most vocal critics say, watch out, this is the future of America. And they remind me that Houston is right down the street. It's the biggest trafficking hub in the country. And Eagle Pass is about 300 miles away. That's the big border crossing right now that they fear that some people are coming from to go to Colony Ridge.
Gave nearly $4 million to Governor Abbott to his campaign over a certain period of time.
Think of that.
Embarrassing. Well, what happened? Well, Paxton comes in and says, and see, he was in a fight himself. All right, we're talking about our Attorney General, Greg Paxton. He's in the fight himself. I got him tied up in court. He can't do anything.
And in the Texas House specifically, their grasp to power is literally built on this alliance between the 61 Democrats and about 20, 25 Republicans. And they realize that they can hold a majority in any given time. And so as they felt their power slipping, they realized that they had to shut this down, that this was time to take the head off the snake. And they saw Ken Paxton as that, as a way to deal a massive blow to the America First movement. And I don't know if you saw this, Steve, literally while we were gone for commercial break, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out, "Today marks another milestone in Ken Paxton's career of fighting the Austin swamp and establishment. Ken will survive and will continue to combat the swamp in Texas to put America first. I'm looking forward to the upcoming 2024 primary season. Rhino hunting season starts soon." And that's what we're doing. I mean, I've been fielding calls from people that 3 months ago had no intention of running for office and now saying, hey, my incumbent Republican is a sellout and we need somebody better. I'm going to stand up.
During that same time. But when he came out of that and he was exonerated, we talked to him directly. And he went after him. But to what degree? Right? I don't know. That part I don't know. We exposed it, and that's what we did. That would have been the 18th largest city in the state of Texas. A trailer park with 200,000 illegals in it. That's what it would have been. Right now, there's 20,000 in there.
No law enforcement.
None. No law enforcement, but a plethora of opportunities for businessmen to come in and sell services. Oh, who are those businessmen? Well, talk about the county commissioners. Talk about some of Trey Harris's friends in those counties. And that's how this works. It's a good old boy club. It's Texas. Politics has always been dirty. Rare to see a race run with or without right versus left. It's a politically it's controlled by a different entity.
Yep. I don't think they should wait until October to release that. I think they should be releasing that now, but what can you do? Can't make them do it earlier. Wall Street Babe says, looks like it's not just America. Students in Britain speak out against the education system. Here we go.
Indoctrinated by the education system. You know, you go to schools these days, they are propaganda camps for Labour. That's all they are.
My teachers constantly spouse left-wing propaganda. In my secondary school, they did it a lot. They would trash Brexit for practically no reason. They'd still label Brexiteers as racist, despite knowing that Brexiteers are
indoctrinated.
Yep. The youth around the world is waking up too, and that makes a big difference. Hey, I want to belong to this cult.
Imagine being told you're in a cult because you're an American who wants to make America great again. If voting for the guy that didn't start any new wars means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy who wants to lock down the borders to put an end to all the drug and sex trafficking means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy that wants to bring all the factories and manufacturing jobs back to America means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy that doesn't want to force radical ideology on our children means that I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy that wants to lower your taxes and increase the tariffs on imported goods means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy who wants to drill his own oil so we're not stuck paying these ridiculous gas prices means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy who wants to remove sexually explicit material from the school system means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy that's not part of one of the 3 families that have been on the ballots for the last 48 years means I'm in a cult, I'm in. If voting for the guy who had historically low inflation numbers means I'm in a cult, then I'm in. If voting for the guy who had historically low unemployment ratings means that I'm in a cult, then I'm in. So I guess I'm in a cult. With a show of follows, who else is with me? In my opinion, you're the ones that are in a cult. And your cult runs around telling people they're in a cult. And your cult is advocating for wide open borders, maximum trafficking. They're advocating for more war in Ukraine, more war in Russia, more war in Gaza, more war in Israel. They're advocating for war everywhere. You know why they're advocating for war? Because when we fund the war, guess where the money goes? It doesn't go to those countries. It goes to the private sector. And the private sector creates weapons. And the weapons that are created go to those countries. The private sector is the people that put all the money in their pocket, but you're not intelligent enough to realize that. And so you turn around and call people that are Americans that want the best for America, you call those people cult members. Good luck.
Yep. Good luck. All right. Here comes another one. This is one of the greatest and most sincere shout outs to President Trump ever. And this was really good. I like this.
Donald Trump's rally in Atlanta, Georgia tonight was practically empty. Take a
You know, I'm really starting to dislike Hop to a Harry right here. You're really annoying, dude. But let's see what you're talking about.
Take a look at this clip from the middle of his speech showing a bunch of empty seats.
Now, Harry, before you post this shit, keep in mind, you're not the only one on the internet, bud. Keep that in mind.
We'll come to America when we host the Los Angeles Olympics. And by the way,
I mean, can we even expect better from you? I mean, you are with CNN and MSNBC, who are photoshopping people in Kamala's crowds and then putting it on the internet for people to see something that totally didn't happen. But tell you what, Harry, watch this. Another sold out arena for the books. No rappers, no drug dealers, no ass-shaking hoes. Just Donald J. Trump. On top of that show being sold out, with no homeless people being bussed there, no free concert thrown for people to pack a arena for them to just leave as like 5 minutes into Kamala start talking. Like, people actually came to see Donald J. Trump. Not some rapper, not some stripper, not some whatever puts on a show for Kamala. Like, dude, understand this. Kamala was piggybacking off of Quavo and Meg Thee Stallion. Donald Trump just had to show up. But two of my favorite parts of this campaign was the human that I saw up there. And I'm talking about the human that was standing right next to the Chipotle girl when they were reminiscing on Donald Trump walking into that Chipotle that day and the conversation they had. And my God, that girl dragged Kamala Hamas. She dragged her. Like, she pretty much just told you exactly how Kamala is nothing but a homewrecker. Or at least she was. I mean, she went from sleeping with a married man to destroying homes, ripping fathers away from their children for like small, tiny offenses, and made it into giant felonies and padded, kind of like what they did with Trump in that New York case, right? And then the other one was when Trump seen the artist that made that drawing or that artwork, and he called him up. And this is the part that I'm talking about. Trump called up this guy, and he said he thought this guy was gonna give him that artwork. But the guy just wanted an autograph. And Trump talked about it and laughed about it. And right then and there is when I thought to myself, Donald Trump is just another man. He's just human. And he's just a regular human who just loves his country and would do anything for his country. Like, you would think this guy has everything in the world. What more would he want? And he said it himself. He wanted that painting. Well, maybe he didn't directly said it that way. He said he thought he was going to give him that painting, so he called him up, right? But then he said, but he just wanted an autograph. So he just gave him the autograph and let him slide with his painting. But guess what? That painting is worth a hell of a lot more right now. And let's be honest, if Trump wants it, he could just buy it. Who knows? Maybe he had one of his people find that artiste and made him an offer, right? But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is Trump can relate to the regular, everyday human. He's not trying to sit up on this high horse and act as if his shit don't stink. That's what Trump is, a real motherfucker. He just says whatever come to his mouth. He's not trying to sugarcoat or make anything sound better or make anything sound good. The guy is a straight up human that just loves this country. What more do you want? Like, he don't try to put on a show and try to say he is this race or that race, Indian or African American, even though, let's be honest, Trump is more African American than Kamala Hamas can ever be. Trump is more in tune with the fucking black culture than Kamala Hamas can ever be. The bitch was raised Indian household. That's why for years she's been Indian. But now that she wants the black votes, all of a sudden she's black. Fucking swallow it if that hurt your feelings, bitch. Give me real, truth, genuine. That's what Trump offer, and that's what I want. I don't want you to come put on a fucking show to try to blend in, to try to please or impress me for my vote. Give me real. That's what I want. That's what I'm voting for. And that's why I'm telling you, for me, it's Trump Vance 2024. And go get yourself some of my merch in my TikTok shop. Yay.
So I gotta share a little story with you guys here before we go on to our next one, right? Speaking of shows, friend of mine was down at Safeway, our local Safeway, and he was sitting in his vehicle while waiting for his wife to get the shopping done that she ran in the store for. He had already finished up at the Dollar General and the tobacco shop next door. So he was back in his car and he had the show playing through his Bluetooth and he was playing it loud. Okay. And this is what's funny now. This is what's funny. So this girl pulls up next to him, and her husband gets out of the car, goes into the grocery store, is in there for about 20 minutes. So she's listening to my podcast being played through his sound system in his car the next car over, and she's listening and listening. Well, he said what he noticed was that there were a couple of things that I had said that the girl that was in the car turned around and looked up on her phone, was Googling or whatever search engine she was using, information about what was just talked about. And he saw that a few times over the 20 minutes, because as you know, we cover multiple topics in a 20-minute period. You know what I mean? And her husband comes out, gets the groceries loaded into a cooler in the back of the car. Well, what's funny is that before they pulled out, she asked him what channel he was listening to. And he says, "Oh, it's not a radio station. It's a podcaster." He says, "A guy from my church." And the lady said, "Can I have the channel name? I'd really like to keep listening." Well, it turns out that same woman, a week later, made my grocery delivery here. And she is one of the two people who come out here to fill up my gas cans. They'll come out here, pick up my money, and pick up my gas cans, take them into town, get them filled up for me, and then bring them back out to me. So don't think that the things that you play when other people come around are going to turn them all off, because you might just be turning somebody on. You know what I mean? Now, she listens on her phone, and I know that she watches it on her TV. I have never seen her in chat yet. The day I see her in chat, I'll probably have a heart attack. No, joking. I didn't mean that in any way. I'm not trying to put anything out there. Okay, don't even go there. I'm not putting anything out there. All right. I'm, figure of speech. Okay. Because I think it's cool to know that now when she goes, when she does it, generally her husband is with her when they're doing the Instacart things. Okay. And she'll turn on the podcast for that day and have it playing. And she's had conversations with multiple people at the Walmart while she's waiting to get 20 bags or 20, 50-pound bags of dog food loaded into their vehicle. Okay. Or when she's at Safeway, sitting there waiting for her husband to finish doing the shopping. All of that. Constantly, and anytime she's out, she's, because she's gotten to the point where if I can change one person's mind a day, the world is going to be a better place a lot quicker, and she's living by that, and she's working by that. And I think that, it's, yeah. Hi, Michael. He says, I have been watching you back the 1st through 6th channel. Wow. Good to see you're not backing down. No, I can't. Boston. All right. Right on. Yeah. I used to live outside of Boston in a little town called Waltham. And I think it's a lot bigger town now than what it was back when I was there. I was there early 1980s, and I was only there for about a year. Yeah, it was a nice area. I loved going into Boston. The Wang Theater was one of my favorite places to go to. Got to see and meet a lot of performers back then. It was that's where I had a great conversation with Hal Linden from Barney Miller. Him and I had an awesome conversation. Oh, you're in Reading. Okay. Yeah. Right on. Welcome, dude. It's I'm glad to hear that you've been watching that long. It's a beautiful area. Well, it used to be. I don't know what it looks like now. I haven't been out there in about 15, 16 years now. Up into that area. Connecticut's as far as I've gone, and that was about 8 years ago when my mom passed away, back in 2015. 2014 my mom passed, and then a year later my sister Erin got married, and I went out for her wedding. So I think that was 2015. In 2016 is when I made the move from Portland to Oregon City. And I was only in Oregon City for 6 months when they told me that I had to get a bigger place because they couldn't handle the business, and neighbors were complaining. And I came out to this place in late 2016, took it over completely in 2017, and have been here ever since. So, yeah, it's been some years. Yeah, Christ, I haven't been off this farm since the Big C came in. So, and that was in 2020. Haven't been off this farm not a single day have I been off of this farm. I go to the mailbox. That's as close to getting me off the farm as you'll get me. So, plus the dogs don't like it when I'm away, because the last time I did go to the grocery store, I ended up walking because the guy who was supposed to come and take me, his vehicle broke down. So I walked, and I walk up to the cash register to pay for things, and she says, "You have some beautiful German Shepherds, well behaved too." And I was like, "Have you been to my farm? I don't recognize you." She says, "No, they're sitting outside." And I walked outside, and all my dogs were sitting there in a row, sitting down with their backs to the wall, and tongues all hanging out. Nobody was approaching them or anything, but everybody was complimenting them. They're so well behaved. Yeah, so well behaved that they broke out of this place when I left just to go and get milk for puppies. Yeah, great dogs. Yeah, you get a flipping heart attack. Yeah. So, yeah, true story. True story. Yeah, and it's a 8 mile walk to where I had to go to get milk. So, yeah, they it couldn't have been long because I was only in the store for about 15 minutes. So I had to have not been off the farm for more than 5 minutes when they started their breakout process. So yeah, that's something else. All right, into thin air. It says breaking. This is going to be devastating for the southeast states, not just Florida. Now, I don't know how many of you have been following this, but the Georgia, South Carolina, parts of North Carolina are expected to see upwards of 20 inches of rain. And that is being listed as a minimum now from the Hurricane Debbie. I knew a Debbie and dated a Debbie in my life, and I know exactly how volatile they can be. It's joking. I'm joking. Not all Debbies are like that. All right. But let's take a look here. And yeah, that's a pretty big storm, and the eye is down here. So, yeah, that could be very, and depending on how fast it's moving, just because it's got high winds does not mean that it's going to, that, Debbie just heard what I said. And I forgot you guys are on a slight delay. But we have to remember that even though the winds can be high, does not necessarily mean that the hurricane is going to move through swiftly. It just means that within that partium, that the trajectory and the landmass have a tendency to slow the hurricane down. So that means that water is going to be able to accumulate more because the hurricane has been slowed down. Just because you're getting over 100-mile-an-hour winds doesn't mean that it's going to go by at 100 miles an hour. You see what I'm saying? It's like a tornado. Okay, when a tornado is a F4, F5, you're talking about wind speeds that can go up to between 175 to 325 miles per hour. Okay, hurricanes are basically the same thing, only they're water and they enlarge. Whereas like a category 5, category 4, category 5 is only going to gain so much base on the ground. The upper parts of the atmosphere are a lot wider. That's why it looks like a funnel, because there's no land resistance for that part of the tornado. Okay. whereas the wind speeds, okay, begin to decrease with elevation where hurricanes are concerned. So a plane can fly over the top of a hurricane and only have normal wind shears. But if they were to fly below the cloud base, then they're experiencing the same winds that you're feeling on the ground. Okay. So where a tornado is slowed and settled by the ground that it consumes. Okay. So where this hurricane is not consuming land mass, it's moving air mass in comparison to a tornado that is literally feeding off of the earth, off of the flat surface. Okay. So the farther the tornado moves, the more ground it has to go through, thus slowing the tornado. And in this case here, and stopping the tornado. Okay. Of course, the wind speeds can pick up and you can get another cool and hot air mixture that will start a secondary tornado from that. But for the most, I think the biggest tornado left a 10-mile trail of damage before dissipation. So, so looking at that, you begin to understand how the tornado feeds from the air, but is stopped by the ground. A hurricane is not. So, yeah. So those of you in those areas, I pray that I pray that you stay safe, and that things are and that you don't flood out too bad. So while in military school, Donald Trump saved the life of a Jewish student from Peru.
He was a one of these just decent, nice guys, that you get to know, but he was more than that, because he would inject himself into certain things. Somebody would be having a problem, that this one fellow that I got to know in recent years, he just recently passed away, but Dr. Platt, I think is his name. But anyway, he told me how he owed his whole success and everything to Donald, because he was a small guy and he didn't really belong in the main barracks. He belonged kind of in the middle school aspect barracks. And Donald saw what a hard time he was having, and he put it upon himself to go to the administration and make sure that he got transferred to some place where his life wasn't going to be as miserable as it was. The guy, he was just a little kid, as I said, a smaller guy than most. He was from Peru, who also was of Jewish background. And so he was getting some not so good treatments in those days. And Donald got it all fixed, and nobody asked him to.
And nobody asked him to. Just like the guy changed his tire for him, changed his tire for him on the limo, and he just wanted flowers for his wife. If you want to give me something, give me, my wife loves flowers. And what did he do? In the card, was attached their deed. The deed to the home that they would be paying on for another 20 years. The deed to their house. It's just crazy. All right. The Flat Earth says, Flat Earth Dave speaks to a lady who's 102 years old, and she recounts how they were always taught at school that the earth is flat. And now I played this a few years back. I think I actually played this during one of the pray-a-thons, when we really started having some serious conversations about the earth being flat and there being a firmament, because we read about it in the Bible, you know, so I thought that this is a good reminder.
How old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
Where did you go to school? Elementary school.
I went to Spur Glen School in Hamden, Connecticut.
How old are you today?
100.
There's one thing that people can't do, and that's convinced me that Kamala Harris is better than Trump. You can't convince me that. You cannot convince me of that. One, she tries to pander to black people, even though she locked up countless black people while she was a prosecutor in California. Not only that, she supported laws in allowing black people to be locked up past their time for jail labor. On top of that, she locked up black families because if their kids didn't go to school for a certain time, she just was like, just lock them up. So no, I can't support her. And if you say, well, it's because she's a black woman and this, that, and the third. Well, she didn't own her blackness until she was running for vice president. And her family owned slaves. So there's that. But, black power.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, it's, and Tony says, don't listen to the polls. Kamala does not have the black vote. We see it. This is one of the reasons that I keep showing it, is because I want people to understand that, that all these people can say, oh, she's got the black vote and everything else. We know different. We know different. Okay. Here we go. Midgets versus rioters. Who will win? Not kidding. Midget. Watch.
This is a great British police force. This is what you got to have respect for. Look, it's a fucking midget. They got a midget to deal with the rioters. I mean, for fuck's sake, what has this country come to? It's fucking hilarious. Fucking hell, we're fucked. This is
a midget. A midget. I mean, look at how tall she is when she gets in between these two guys. Her helmet almost disappears. Okay, here we go. Let's get the guy next to her. Okay, here we go. Her helmet is the only thing making her taller. You know what I'm saying? And the jack boots, if she took those off too, and yeah, vertically challenged. Yeah, all right, sorry. Well, he called her a midget, so I can call her a midget too. But all right. Why would China build a Great Wall with lookout posts facing towards China? We've talked about this before. I thought this was kind of cute. Here we go.
They are hiding this from you. Did you know that the Great Wall of China is 13,171 miles long? And why has it always been downplayed throughout history? To put that in perspective, the distance from the east to the west coast of America is on average 3,000 miles. You would have to multiply that by 4 and add 1,000 to reach the length of the Great Wall. This makes you wonder, how did they build such a wall? And why? Did you even know that China was that large? Construction of the Great Wall of China began in 220 BC, before Jesus walked the earth. No sane ruler or country would dedicate so many resources and so much power to build something without a purpose, especially if they knew the significance of it. It took over 1,000 years to complete the wall. Who were they defending against that required a wall stretching 13,000 miles to even consider winning? What or who were they so afraid of? There is a theory that the wall was built by the Tartarian Empire. If you look at old maps and photos, you will see that the steep side of the Great Wall and the lookout posts are actually facing China. Typically, those sides would be used to prevent invaders from climbing up or to pick off enemies with crossbows. The fact that it faces China implies it was built by someone else, the Tartarians, to keep whatever was in China contained, rather than to defend what was in China. Follow to learn more.
Yeah, makes you wonder what's really in the Forbidden City. Yeah, yeah. All right. Amy Meck says, amen. Godly men in the UK are rising up. Here we go.
Hello, Callan. Phil Harris here. It's been 2 days since Sir Keir Starmer made his ill-fated communist speech where he told the concerned citizens of the United Kingdom that they were far right. In fact, it's been the narrative pretty well all over social media, and the mainstream media are blaming certain individuals for the unrest in the country. How myopic are people? How short-sighted and nearsighted are people? A wise man once said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." We are seeing the outworkings of that in this once great nation. So, by Sir Keir's definition, as a far right priest in the Church of God, I feel that it is my duty to respond. Sir Keir, I have no idea who is advising you. You received a mandate on the back of the lowest electoral turnout for decades and probably the second lowest turnout for a general election in UK history. You gained a mere 11 million votes, which means that nearly 39 million people did not vote for you and are not interested in your policies. And yet you have the audacity and the propensity to insult the majority, the silent majority of our nation. Today, there is an uprising across this once great nation as the political liberal elite have removed themselves and placed themselves above the people that they are supposed to serve. History tells us that this does not end well. History repeats itself. It has to, because nobody listens. In recent days, we have seen an army officer stabbed 12 times. We've seen riots in Leeds for 3 days where your government was incapable or unwilling to take action other than to return a vulnerable child to the family from whence the child was required to be removed for concerns over their well-being. 2 thugs violently assaulted 3 armed police officers in an airport, breaking the nose of a female officer, and they've not even been charged. Then riots in Rotherham for the same people who committed the assaults. 3 little girls were murdered. Let me say that again. 3 little girls were murdered at a holiday club. 10 were injured. And yet you allow the mainstream media to portray the mass murderer as a sweet choir boy. Sword fights and machete attacks occurred in Southend. 28 men were convicted of gang raping a British girl, receiving 400 years because of their crimes, and those crimes being so revolting and brutal that they can't even be published. 8 men charged with gang raping another British child. We then have the report of a woman who was beaten to death by 2 Somali immigrants whilst walking her dog. Knife murders and knife crime are out of control, and they are normally committed by a certain demographic. But you don't speak about those. You speak about the far right, the silent majority, those who were centrist a few years ago until the liberal elite chipped away at moral standards of family in this nation. We've then had 7 months of 600,000 plus people calling for the genocide of Jews. We've watched a two-tier policing where people can wave a Palestinian flag or a Hamas flag and not be in any way, see that as concerning, but wave a British flag or wave an Israeli flag and you get arrested. We've seen a postman pushed onto the tracks of the tube. All of this is happening whilst we prostrate ourselves before Islam. 117 million has gone to mosques. 6 billion has been spent on illegals. And yet you announce that you intend to freeze and starve pensioners. We have the receipts for your hypocrisy at the dispatch box. We've seen decades of Islamic terrorism. And then recently, pro-Palestinian and Black Lives Matter marches that you never condemned because of the Labour Mayor of London and your large Muslim voter base. And let's not forget, Just Stop Oil. What is your response? You condemn the centrists of yesteryear who are protesting about children being murdered, who are protesting about children being murdered. The discrimination of the two-tier policing against the native British population, where you seek to ban far-right protests. In 1919, Britain was in revolt. That time it was the socialists, or dare I say the communists, that were revolting. The government of the day were terrified. Just over 100 years later, we're here again. The difference is that the sensible people, the real grown-ups who are now standing up for this nation and for liberty and for freedom and all that is good, you can call us what you want, but as we peacefully take a stand, the numbers will grow because we realize that a house divided cannot stand. Why is that statement so important? It wasn't just a wise man that said that. It was the Son of the living God. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And you, Sakia, have divided the house. The nation has been allowed to be overrun by yourselves and by previous governments, by people who share different values and who seek to subdue us. That mustn't happen. We are happy for people to come here and be part of this nation who want to contribute and integrate, but that is not what you have championed. And so people are on the streets and the momentum will grow. It will grow. It's time to have a rethink. It's time to put the wrongs right. And it is time to stand up for the good people of this nation. And can I say to the good people of this nation, where we do have to stand, where we do have to march, where we do have to quietly gather in cities and towns all over the nation to make our stand, can I say this? Can we make sure that our protests are honourable, are peaceful, and we are not drawn into conflict? But now is the time to make a stand. Now is the time for us to take our nation back before it's too late. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again soon. May God bless you, and pray for our nation and give glory to an almighty God. Amen.
Yeah, this was Reverend Canon Phil Harris. Yeah, it's good to see him stepping forward. All right. All right. How the Bible teaches the biblical flat earth truths. And we were just talking about that just a few minutes ago, weren't we? Here we go.
Scriptures indicate that God sits in Isaiah above the circle of the earth, centered above the circle of the earth, beholding all the creatures in it. The Bible calls earth a circle. It says it takes shape like clay under a seal. It says it's fixed and immovable. It's not orbiting. It's not rotating. It's not flying through space. Tell me, how is a vacuum, which sucks atmosphere out, occurring with atmosphere and there's no barrier between the two? Tell me, how does water curve and hold to a ball? Well, you got to make up the imaginary gravity, all those things. Bible never teaches that. The Bible says the earth is not moving. It says it's fixed and immovable. Satan comes up with, oh, it's moving 3 different ways. It's spinning, and then it's orbiting, and then it's vortexing. Yet the star trails have remained the same for thousands of years. Do you understand? Fixed and immovable, that's the Bible. Earth takes shape like clay under a seal. You ever seen clay under a seal? That's in Job. Take some clay, push it under a seal. What do you get? Flat with ridges and mountains. Take shape like clay under a seal. What does Isaiah say? The book of Isaiah uses the word ball in Hebrew, not for the earth, and it uses the word circle, a completely different Hebrew word, for God sitting above, enthroned above the circle of the earth. Ezekiel says there is a dome over our heads, and then God is on his throne above that dome. Genesis 1 says, you look this up, the first word that would trigger us if we're going to believe the world's version of cosmology is rakia in Hebrew. It says that he created the rakia. Well, you've got to translate that properly. Sometimes the Bible will say vault or what have you. The King James comes closest and says firmament. Why? Because rakia, and any true Hebrew scholar will tell you this, rakia is a solid structure. In fact, Job says that God spread out the skies hard as molten glass. So NASA's been lying since the 50s. They've been lying. The biblical cosmology and the worldly cosmology are 2 completely different cosmologies. Shouldn't surprise you, there's 2 kingdoms here on earth. There's the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Satan, and that ball nonsense does not exist. Creation points us to God according to Romans. Did you know that? According to Paul's argument in Romans 1, creation will point you to God. So what does Satan do? He goes after creation, obscures creation, hides creation. Oh, there's no firmament. The earth is not fixed and immovable. It's moving a lot, right? It doesn't take shape like clay under a seal. It takes shape under gravity formed into a ball. We call it the horizon because it's horizontal, and then we try and say, oh, it's curved. Now, I know you've seen all the footage, but you had to see it on screen. You've never seen it with your eyes, number 1. Number 2, it's always a fisheye lens, always. GoPros, fisheye lenses. You're being deceived. If you hold to the Bible, you won't get deceived. You'll sound stupid to everybody else, just like I sound stupid right now. But if you notice, I could care less because I believe the Bible. I don't believe my eyes over the Bible. I believe the Bible. But I also believe my eyes, and my eyes have never seen curved water stick to a ball. They've never seen atmosphere and vacuum touch each other and the vacuum not suck the atmosphere out. It doesn't occur. You have to have a hard surface between a vacuum and atmosphere. And if you start looking into NASA, you start seeing the space bubbles, which is because it's really just filmed underwater. Every time SpaceX sends up its beautiful rockets, that's a beautiful piece of machinery, but it's not going anywhere. If you notice the photography that trails it, it just makes a dome. And they go, oh, well, that's because it's entering into the orbit, right? No, it's because there's a dome. And if you send it straight up, it'll just hit that dome and blow up. So you got to curve it. And that's why. And it comes back down. They go, oh, no, it entered. No, it didn't. So you're being deceived.
You are being deceived. Yep. All right. Following widespread outrage online, the police in Bolton have finally started arresting members of the Muslim Defense League.
He's coming here, so coward!
Look at that. Look at that cricket bat. See that cricket bat? He's just come round here with that cricket bat to do something.
Yeah. Now if they adopt a stop and frisk like they do in New York and stuff like that, they would probably disarm 90% of the Muslims, and there wouldn't be as many problems. All right. Here we go.
Everybody laughs at her and says, oh, she's just talking gibberish. She talks in circles, talks in riddles. Unburdened by what has been. I've been unburdened by what has been. And you laugh at her, and you don't know the true meaning. It's much darker than you think.
President Harris will say repeatedly, what is the quote? The quote is that we can see what can be unburdened by what has been.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Is that word salad or Marxism? It's Marxism. That is, in fact, not at all word salad. It's a Marxist incantation, as a matter of fact. It's like a spell. So you can see the possibility of a world that's unburdened from its own history, which is exactly what Mao Zedong did when he launched the campaign of Smash the Four Olds, the four old characteristics of Chinese society. They were going to make a new China that was going to be unburdened by what had been in the past of China. This is what the Soviets, the Bolsheviks, did when they took over power in Russia, is that they were going to make the new Russia. They're going to make the new man, as a matter of fact. People could become unburdened by what has been so that they could see what could possibly be in the terms of a socialist utopia. So when she says that, I assume, given that her father was a Marxist, I assume she knows what she's saying, and I don't buy her idiot Valley speak shtick one bit. I think she's far more smart and far more savvy than conservatives have given her credit for, and she is an outright Marxist. It is very, very clear in her language, and that's what the Democrats want to nominate for president right now, which is kind of horrifying.
Yeah. How about that, right? Yep. All right. Here we go. Another smart young man.
Seeing all these riots and whatnot in Britain, it's like, it's not a surprise at all. Islam is not compatible with the Western world, period. Matter of fact, it's not compatible with anything that isn't Islam. Hundreds of years of Near Eastern and Middle Eastern history and freaking structures and all that sort of shit gone directly due to Islam, because that's what they do. They come in, they destroy the culture, the history, the religion, and the peoples of the places they go to, and they have done so since 622 AD. The Mohammedan heresy, which is what it is, was created by a warlord so he could be more successful at conquering. And when he conquered, what did he do? Destroyed the history, the culture, the structures, everything that was non-Islamic. And then you see the dumbest of the dumb people on Twitter. Oh, why is this happening? Dog, why didn't it happen sooner? You can't expect a bunch of hostile foreign people to come into a different place doing hostile foreign shit and not expect the native people to have some sort of a response. It has been this way everywhere Islam goes since 622 AD. Read a book.
Oh, read a book. Yep. All right. Here's Judge Janine. My God.
Hi, everybody. I have another complaint.
Oh, my God. The hair.
What do you call it when 5 kids decide that they're going to beat, stomp on, kick, and continuously brutalize another kid to the point where he dies? To me, it's murder. And 5 kids in Las Vegas were charged with murder. The victim was 17, and I believe 4 or 5 of the defendants were also 17. The defendants were charged with murder, but the district attorney decided that they should be treated as juveniles and charged with manslaughter. He feels that this plea bargain is good for everybody. I'm here to tell you it's good for nobody. A 17-year-old was beaten and kicked to death by a bunch of bullies and is not able to live and grow up because these dirtbags decided that he shouldn't live. And a judge and a DA and a defense attorney decide that convicting these guys of murder would be yet another tragedy. No, it would be justice. So I'm going to call out the DA. His name is Steve Wolfson from Clark County, Nevada. Now, who am I to talk about this? I was a DA in a county of 1 million people elected 3 times. This is baloney. It's BS. When kids kill kids, we're not talking about 12-year-olds, we're talking about 17 years old. You try them as adults, and that's the end of it. What does the jury think?
Yep. Oh boy, the hair. Yeah. All right, here we go. Conservative mama.
You know, they say that women are emotionally led, but that is not true. Who am I voting for? Oh, Kamala. Definitely. Without a doubt. Why? Because I hate Trump. Like, I hate him. I hate him so much. I just, I want to rage when I think about him. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? You know, they say that women are emotionally led, but that is not true. Who am I voting for? Oh, Kamala. Definitely. Without a doubt. Why? Because I hate Trump.
Yeah. Oh, all this emotional shit, you know. Yep. All right. Here's another smart young lady.
The slander and everything loses its power once you stop being afraid of it. Once you stop thinking, oh, I can't say this because they're going to say that I'm radical, or, you know, at some point, when you truly believe that there is good and evil in this world, you know, I would much rather be called a radical in the fight against evil than a moderate. And I don't care what people will say about me. If I have a group of good friends, loyal friends and family around me who know who I am, who love me and who I love, then that's good enough. And I know that I meet actual friends. I meet real friends. And that's what I try to tell other people. Stop being afraid of what they call you and they lose their power. The slander and everything loses its power once you stop being afraid of it. Once you stop thinking, oh, I can't say this because they're going to say that I'm radical, or, you know, at some point, when you truly believe that there is good and evil in this world, you know, I would much rather be called a radical in the fight against evil than a moderate. And I don't care what people will say about me. If I have a group of good friends, loyal friends and family around me who know who I am, who love me and who I love, then that's good enough. And I know that I meet actual friends. I meet real friends. And that's what I try to tell other people. Stop being afraid of what they call you and they lose their power. The slander and everything loses its power once you stop being afraid of it. Once you stop thinking, oh.
Yep. All right. Sorry, I didn't catch the end of that one. All right. Here's another smart one.
I'm not surprised. What do you think?
Even when I voted Democrat and I was very outspoken about my beliefs, not once, not one time did a conservative or a Republican call me a name. They never made fun of me, and they never even remarked on my skin color. Now that I'm openly conservative and I support Trump, and my beliefs actually align with my Christianity, Democrats and leftists have called me all the names in the book. They've sworn at me, they've cussed me out, they've cut off friendships, childhood friends and family members, people who actually know me. And they've also made fun of me for being a person of color who votes Republican. And they've pointed out my skin color to me. Basically, they treated me the way that they said Republicans and conservatives do. They've done everything they've accused them of doing.
I'm not surprised. What?
Yeah. All right. Here's Tommy Robinson. Here we go.
Let me, as the media and politicians try and blame me for what's currently happening in our country, it wasn't my policies that allowed 2 Somalians into the country who murdered a British grandmother last week in Ipswich. That wasn't my policies. It's not my policies that opened our border to Pakistani immigration and made our police stand down whilst a generation of our daughters were raped. I didn't do that. That's your failures, your policies. What you're witnessing now on the streets is years of resentment built up by you trying to hide the problems. It's not I didn't allow terrorists and jihadists to come in. I haven't filled the local hotels. People in Hull are rioting, yeah? I didn't let an asylum seeker into the local hotel who come out and stab someone to death, a grandfather to death last year. I didn't do that. It's not my policy. It's your fuck up. So whilst you wish to blame other people for all of your failures, because everything you're witnessing is your failures, the mobs of armed Muslims on the streets in every city across our country has come because Keir Starmer lied. The police in the UK lied. They told people the English Defence League, a group that hasn't been around for a decade, were on the streets. Rather than accepting that it's the general British public that are upset and they're out on the street, you wish to blame it on far-right extremism. Yeah, it's all on your lap, not mine. I'm not being blamed for this. I haven't fucked up. You've fucked up. Your policies, your open border immigration, your policies of putting British people last is what's engulfed this situation in the country. I will not apologise for telling the truth. I won't apologise for highlighting all of your fuck-ups and failures. I know you want communism. You want to totally control the media. You were able to censor for 5 years, and now you're going over after Elon Musk. Because there's a revolution going on online and on the streets, because people are awake to the fact that you don't care about them. That you work for globalist corporations, you work for the interests of big pharma, and you don't give a fuck about the average British person. You are working against the interests of the British public. No, we do not want to become a minority in our own country. And no, we won't remain silent on that issue. No, we don't want undocumented men put into hotels at our fucking expense in every hotel across the country where they come out, rape, pillage, and harass our daughters. We don't want it. It's not our fuck up, it's on you. Okay, so you can use your weaponized globalist corporate media, The Guardian, all the Times newspaper today. You can use all of them to attack me and defame me. But the British public see straight through your bullshit now. Yeah. So no, I am not a fault. No, I do not accept responsibility. And no, I'm not going to shut up. And neither are the majority of the British public anymore. Okay, there's been a turning point. People have had enough. We want our country back from you fuckers. Okay, it's you who's done this. The migrants coming in are hostile and violent, and we know that. But who let them in? Who's housed them in the hotels at the end of our roads? Who directs the police to come out and attack British people and run away from Muslims? Who does that? It's all on your lap, not mine.
Yeah. All right. Here's some more of this lady.
If you're a liberal, get the fuck off my page. You have nothing to say to me. I have nothing to say to you. We hate each other. We want each other dead. We don't want to breathe the same air. You vote for communism, socialism, and a dictatorship, and I don't. You line up to get inoculated when I ask questions. Listen to everything the news tells you to believe, and I don't. You don't think for yourself. I do. You don't do research. I do. You think men can be women. I know they can't. You think that feelings matter more over facts, when I know they don't. You want to indoctrinate all children. I don't. You want to impose your lifestyle on everybody else when I don't give a flying fuck who lives how. Just leave me the fuck alone. But now I care because you pushed it down everybody's throat too much. One policy voters, when I look at the whole of everything, we aren't the same. And I want nothing to do with you. And if it keeps going the way it's going, we will end up fighting. But words mean nothing. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It will happen. So either save your breath or start apologizing. I love this country. You don't. Did I leave anything out?
Oops. Yep. Yeah. 2 sons in Japan. Yeah, let's take a look again. Now they got it big. Let's take it back to the beginning. So there's the main son, and then there's the other one. Makes you wonder. Wonder. Yep. All right. And this is going to be the last one of today.
Yes. It just cost me $80 to fill my gas tank up and $400.
Whoops. I messed that one up. Hang on. Sorry. Try that again.
Cost me $80 to fill my gas tank up and $400 for groceries. Do you think I care about 34 felonies? Fuck no, I don't.
Well, no, we don't. All right, that's going to be it for me today. I did a couple hours with Slow Country today and a couple hours with you guys. I am going to call it for now. And I will see you guys again tomorrow, God willing. I'm trying to get somebody out here to get gas for me. I have not been able to do that. I'm literally on my last can right now. I know I have to turn the air conditioner on because we're getting ready to get hot. Want to make sure that and keep the dogs cooled down. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Remember, God loves you. Christ loves you. I love you. And we'll see you again. Peace.